you get it yet? By the time we catch up with Jesus and the apostles in Mark 8:21, Jesus has fed crowds of 5,000 and 4,000 people on 2 different occasions. That's not counting the women and children. And he's done it from a couple of sack lunches. To give you some perspective, a Roman legion was 5,000 soldiers. Does that help you understand why people are a little concerned about this Jesus guy? He can gather a crowd the size of an army and basically feed them from thin air. But even after this, in verse 11, the Pharisees come demanding a sign. Really? I love Jesus' response. He sighs from the depth of his spirit. I don't even know what that looks like. And then he asks, why does this generation demand a sign? I mean, seriously. But later, the apostles are in the boat with Jesus, and the Lord begins to preach to them about avoiding the leaven of the Pharisees. Basically, he's telling the disciples to not let even a little bit of their thinking or philosophy infect them. This relationship that Jesus is talking about isn't about scrupulously following rules. Jesus is the kingdom of God. The apostles, and remember, these are Jesus' hand-picked guys, they completely missed the point. You see, they forgot to bring lunch. And so while Jesus is talking about spiritual things, they're thinking about food. Reminder, Jesus just fed 9,000 people from a couple sack lunches. He's demonstrated that food is not an issue, and yet the guys are still concerned about where they're going to get lunch. The Lord looks at them and he says, do you still not understand? Man, I feel like Jesus looks at me and says that all the time. How do you keep missing my faithfulness? God is faithful. He really, really is. And he's demonstrated that so many times in my life. If God calls you into mission, in him, he provides for the mission. My life has demonstrated that. Every year God takes care of us. Every year we prosper. We never know how that's going to happen. Sometimes I get calls to speak at conferences and parishes. That was a surprise when it started happening. But God can feed an army from a sack lunch. Even when we were at our lowest, when we didn't have enough money to cover everything, we didn't go without. There was the parish food pantry. Literally, we got food from the Lord. Yet despite God's faithfulness, I still worry. I still cling to the idea that I need to make it all work. I still waste hours planning how I'll avoid calamities that will never come. Do you still not understand? No, I don't. Lord, I wish I did. I know it. I've seen it. You've shown your faithfulness time and time again. Now God, help me, help my heart to understand it.